Inhale up the spine, all the way to the top of the head, and exhale down the spine, pouring into your heels. Now as you inhale, you might even lift the toes, lift the kneecaps, the quads, activate the deep lower belly, navel's in and up, drawing the pit of the throat in and up, extending through the crown of the head, all the way to the top of the breath, and follow the exhale all the way out, releasing the tailbone, sinking into your heels. So it could even create a subtle rocking motion as you're inhaling, lifting the front body and exhaling down the back body. So try that for a few more rounds. Inhaling, lift the shins, the kneecaps, the quads, deep lower belly, navel, heart, pit of the throat, crown of the head. And activate Ujjayi breath, so that aspirant sound, that wind swirling in the back of the throat. Now this is your focal point for your practice. This aspirant sound of the breath, Ujjayi. This is the main focal point for your practice. So if you find yourself getting caught up in a song or listening to what's happening in your house or outside of your house, like my awareness just went to someone's blowing, using a blower somewhere in the neighborhood. So you use the Ujjayi to constantly bring your awareness back to what it is that you're doing in this present moment and into the body. So keep that in mind. When we do get distracted, it's not a bad thing, because if we weren't distracted, we wouldn't have a point of reference to come back to the focal point. So just very gently, like you're working with a small child. Okay, so awareness back to the breath, back to Ujjayi. We'll begin to connect movement to breath. So reaching the arms out and up, palms touch overhead, and exhale, hands to heart. And imagine, visualize gathering up all of your energy, filling the entire room, and then bringing it into the core of your being, which is Anahata, your heart chakra. This is that bridge between heaven and earth. One more time. In hands at prayer, set your personal intention for your practice. So sankalpa, intention setting. And today's my 39th birthday, so my intention is just to celebrate being alive and embodied. So hopefully I can share that joy with you today. All right, inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, forward fold. We're building some heat. We're starting to wake up the body. Now this is our first forward fold, so it's really important to bend your knees generously. And you can bend and extend the legs, look right, look left, any movement to start to wake the body up. Inhale, let's bring the hands to the knees for our halfway lift. Activate solar plexus, and then we'll reach the arms back. So big inhale, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And exhale, plant the hands, and we'll step back to our first downward facing dog. To pedal out the heels. And shrug the shoulders. Now lots to think about. Middle fingers coming straight out of the wrist. External rotation of the upper arms. You might, again, slide the scapula up and down. Bend the knees again so you can lift the hips higher. And roll the inner thighs out until your kneecaps point towards your eyeballs. Now you might look at your navel And we'll take 3 more breaths. Now, it does not matter if the heels are on the ground, especially right now. As we start to warm up, we'll get there. And this is about being present for the process. So maybe you can even roll out of the arches of your feet. Might lift all of your toes, spread them out, place them down. One more breath. Then we'll lower the knees. Coming into tabletop. So let's lift and lower a few times. So you might even crouch back towards the heels, lift up into down dog, and then lift the heels and lower the knees. You can hover here, start hollowing out the deep lower belly. Maybe touch down for a beat, and then crouch back towards the heels. Might get some snaps and crackles and pops out of the ankles. Lift the hips. And then we'll come all the way down into our tabletop neutral spine. Unfurl your toes and press the necks of your feet into the floor. It's always nice to give them a tap. And we'll draw the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Navel comes down towards the ground. And the chest, the heart, I want you to reach it forward in between the insides of your biceps. So chest reaches through the arms. And the back of the neck, we want to keep the back of the neck long. So you might try lifting the chin and feel how that cuts off the back of the neck. So it shortens that length. So if you lower the chin and kind of lift out of the occiput and the crown of the head, but keep the chin down, and you can lift the gaze of your eyeballs. Big inhale, and then start by curling the tailbone under and rounding the spine. One vertebra at a time, as if you were going through a roller coaster. Chin to chest. And then draw the hips up and back. Belly down, heart through the arms. Lifting out of the back of the neck. Inhale. And in slow motion, cat tuck. Scoop out the deep lower belly. Lift up behind the heart. And chin to chest, look at your navel. Expel the air from your lungs. One more time. Spilling the belly forward. Inhale, lifting the heart. And we'll come into cat bow. So lowering down. Let's come all the way onto our belly. So scoop the hips back behind you. Big toes touch. Bring the arms out and tense your fingers. Elbows high. Inhale, lifting the heart. And exhale, lower down. So we're waking up the back body, expanding across the chest. Bring your forehead to the earth. And keep everything nice and long. Lift on the inhale and lower on the exhale. One more time. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lower down. Reach the arms forward, lift the arms and the legs. 5 breaths for Salabhasana. So locust pose. And lower down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. So the tips of your fingers are right underneath your shoulders. Press up through the table, and we'll round back into child's pose just for 3 breaths. Counteracting the Salabhasana and our cobras. And on an inhale, coming into down dog or table, tuck the toes under, and exhale, lift the hips for downward facing dog. Good. 3 more breaths. Finding your Ujjayi. And stepping the right foot forward between the hands, followed by the left. Inhale, lengthen the spine, so halfway lift, hands to the knees or palms to shins. So crown of the head's forward, reach the arms back behind you. So I like to have the arms reaching back because it really teaches you to activate the core and find the curve of the lumbar spine here. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. Exhale, fold. Uttanasana. And for this first round, we'll roll up to standing. So take as many breaths as you need. Go in slow motion. You might inhale up a little bit. And pause. Exhale all the way. Inhale up a little bit more. Exhale, pause. Your chin's towards your chest. You're scooping out the belly. And the head is the very last to come up on the top of the inhale. Shoulders roll back and down. Hands to heart. Pause for a full breath in. And a long, slow breath out. And inhale out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Lengthening the spine. Reach back behind you, interlace your fingers. This time we'll fold forward and roll the shoulders open. Now you can bring in a strap if you need some more space between your hands. So taking the strap behind you, hold on to the buckle so you don't hit yourself in the face when you roll forward. So here we go, rolling the shoulders open, and we can look right and left. Now, if you're kind of switching from side to side, you want to look towards your straight leg. Let's kind of twist towards the straight leg. Bend the opposite, and then bend and extend, looking towards your straight leg. We'll meet back in the middle. Release the strap, plant the hands, and try a couple baby steps back. This time we'll come into plank. So from down dog, you can lift your heels and shift forward into plank. We'll rock back and forth a few times. So as you're transitioning from your downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, to plank pose, Phalakasana, you really shouldn't have to move your hands and feet too much. Yeah, there might be a subtle adjustment, but if you're waving through the spine and you come forward, your shoulders are over your wrists. We'll pause in our plank pose for 3 breaths. Now, if we're still building some strength and we need modification, you might lower one knee down. But keep the core active, and then you can switch. Your hips don't move. So you can also try this on as just a kind of a drill or an exercise to keep the hips level, and then work towards both heels pressing back. Spiral the eyes and the elbows forward. You might slide the shoulder blades down the back. One more breath. And then we'll lower the knees, heart between the hands. Scoot the hips back behind you like an inchworm. Tent the fingers, lift the heart for cobra. Lower down, forehead to the earth. Okay, now this time bring your big toes to touch. I'd like for you to lift the heart and lift the hands. So instead of pushing into the earth with your hands to lift up, we're specifically targeting the back body. Good. Now let's bring the hands down a little bit. Middle fingers point forward, and we'll press up into cobra. Now you can even roll the shoulders here. We want to be nice and loose in the shoulders. Elbows draw in. So let's try wagging the elbows out and then in. And then out and in. So the elbows are rolling in towards the ribs. Take a big breath up into the heart space. And this time we'll come through table and transition directly into downward facing dog. So tuck the toes under, lift the hips, 5 breaths in down dog. Find that ujjayi. Ocean sounding breath. One more. forward between the hands, followed by the right. Inhale, lengthen the spine. You might find your strap again, bring it back behind you. Give yourself as much space as you need. Exhale, folding in. Wiggle your toes. Bend and extend. Now another option here, if you'd like to release the strap for a moment, you can always bring in a block for right underneath your gaze. Plant your left hand, and you'll bend the left knee, extend the right, and right arm reaches up. So just getting into a twist a little bit. If you're feeling open for it, bending the right knee, right hand comes down, left leg is long, reaching that left arm up high, twisting through solar plexus. You might even feel that run all the way down the IT band, you know, the lateral side of the extended leg. Draw that right hip back. And one more round. You might take peace fingers, wrap them around your big toes. Inhale, one more time, lengthen the spine. Exhale, draw in. And on one breath, we'll roll all the way up to standing. Now notice if you skipped over any segments of your spine there. That's why we want to go really slow to start. All right, so hands to heart. We're going to work up to a hopping practice now. Take a breath in. Slow breath out. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. Now, when your hands come down to the earth, acknowledge that you are touching a living entity. You might even shift the weight back and forth from your hands to your feet. Bend the knees again deeply. You might lift your heels as you come onto your toes. Activate solar plexus and the pit of your stomach in the hara. Slide the shoulder blades down the back. Now, you want to spiral the eyes and the elbows forward and try a couple hops back into your plank. Shift the weight forward. Now you can modify with cat bow or lower down through chaturanga dandasana. So once your rib cage gets to your elbows, use your toes to propel yourself forward. You can come into cobra. Again, we want to keep the shoulders rolling back and down. If you feel that your lower back is warm enough, you can press into the toes and the necks of your feet, lifting your kneecaps for full upward facing dog. Let's take 2 more breaths here. So we're holding. Now spread the weight across your knuckles. So taking some of the pressure out of the heel of your hand and the wrist. Back of the neck is long. 1 more breath. And you can come through table or roll on your toes back to downward facing dog. All right, so in our down dog, I want you to look at your hands. We're going to practice hopping in place. So you're going to bend the knees, we're going to get springy in the legs, and send the hips up into the air. Try that 6 hops. Look at your hands, whatever you do. Don't take your hands off the floor. When you're done, roll the knees down, hips back, child's pose. And then come to natural seat. I had a big birthday breakfast this morning and I can feel that. Okay. So give me a moment to demonstrate one of the common beginner moves that I see with working with hopping is that we'll bring the heels to the butt and we'll do more with the feet than the actual legs. So let me show you what not to do. If your hopping is feeling more like this, then you're doing it from your feet. And I want you to do it from your butt. Butt up, legs long. Butt up, legs long. And then when you're, number 2 is when you're landing. If it's sounding like an elephant, You want to land like a cat and absorb the shock. So try that quietly. So try that one more time. You're gonna look at your hands, set up in down dog, crouch down, send your hips up in the air, and you wanna zip up, literally, from pubic bone to lips. It's your abs that are bringing your feet forward. So butt up, use your abs to draw your feet to your hands. Down dog, look forward. There you go. Try that a few times. Back to down dog. And notice what your knees are doing when you hop forward. If they're splaying out, wheel them in. Or if they're knocking together. Remember, your feet are neutral, knees point forward. One more time. Make it count. Look at your hands. There you go. Forward fold, halfway lift. Catch your heels, draw yourself in. Now this time you might take your forearms and wrap them around the backs of your arms. Let's take 5 breaths here. Yeah, hopping is invigorating. It'll get the heat going. And this time we'll reverse swan dive out and up. And hands to heart. So just coming up with a flat back this time. A few breaths. Alright, so that was 3 Surya Namaskar A's. First time stepping forward with the right foot, second time stepping forward with the left foot, third round working towards hopping. So now we're going to move into Surya Namaskar B. We're almost done with our warm up. Yes, we're still warming up. And I want to modify it first and work up to a formal. So stepping forward from downward facing dog into warrior 1 can be challenging. There's a lot of technique to master along the way. So if I'm working with beginners, I will tend to modify Surya Namaskar B and omit the vinyasa so that we don't get too fatigued too soon, too labored, and we still have some strength to concentrate on what it is that we're doing. And we're not just muscling our way through the poses, but we're moving intelligently and we're cultivating a deeper connection to the body and also increasing our body intelligence. And that's the most important thing outside of learning to follow your breath and using Ujjayi as your barometer for the practice. But we want to cultivate body awareness and use this practice to educate and to heal the body. Body-mind complex, should I say. So there's 2 poses that differentiate between Surya Namaskar A and Surya Namaskar B, and that is Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1, and Utkatasana, chair pose. So we'll start with Utkatasana. So from chair, you want to sink into your heels, you sit down into your bottom, bending the knees. This gets the quads revving up. The quads are the largest muscle in the body. So if you ever want to build heat fast, chair. So we'll reach the arms up and activate solar plexus. Put the mass in your ass. Sit down. And this is the same thing that you want to do when we're working with hopping too. You got to get your butt up in the air. Here, we're just upside down, or right side up. Upside down, it ends up being relative. You want to put the weight in your bottom. And then lift the heart up, out of that sturdy rear. It's a low center of gravity. Okay, so your quads should be burning, that's good. Sit a little deeper. The pose starts when you want to come out of it. So we want to challenge ourselves. Not push too hard, but if we don't push hard enough, then we don't get anywhere. So that balance. And you'll know when it's too much. So inhale, come on up. Shake out your legs, a little reprieve. Exhale, forward fold. So here's where I will omit the vinyasa. Inhale, halfway lift. And instead of coming back into plank pose and moving through chaturanga, up dog, and back to down dog, we're just going to step that left foot back into Virabhadrasana 1. So when I'm stepping back, I will step back and out to the side a little bit for a nice broad base, being sure to square the hips off to the back of the mat, get heavy in the feet. That front knee is bent 90 degrees, so knees over the ankle. And inhale, reach up. So let's work on that a little bit. Exhale, reach forward, 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 forward. And then have the arms come back behind you. Inhale, reaching forward and up. And exhale, reach forward and back. You might bring your forehead to touch your knee. Now here's where you can interlace your fingers and start to roll the shoulders open. While you're down there, look at your feet. Relax your toes. Roll out of the arch of your back foot. Inhale, reaching up. Good. Now, exhale, plant the hands. Right foot will step back to meet the left. Now we're in plank. Chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing dog. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Now if you're with beginners, or let's say mixed class, you could always, from Warrior 1, have the class step back into down dog and offer the vinyasa as an option. Everybody meets in down dog. And we'll work on our hopping again. So a few breaths in down dog to recover, to reset. If you need something even less, extended child. Coming back to that Ujjayi. And then work on your hopping. So again, put the mass in your ass. Send your hips up into the air. Look at your hands. And hop all the way to the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Any variation that you like here. Meeting in chair pose. Bend the knees. Sit low and reach the arms forward and up. Now if it's too much to reach up, fingertips forward, hands in prayer. We can work up to this. Now it's also nice, just for some variation, to put a block between the hands. So you're pressing your palms into the block and reach up slowly, slowly, slowly. Good. Inhale to standing, shake out your legs. Exhale, forward fold. Now we're coming into our Warrior 1, stepping that right foot back, bending into your left knee. Inhale, reach the arms up. Good. So let's say, while you're hanging out here and breathing, just for you new teachers or aspiring teachers at home, let's say I'm with a group and this is their very, very first yoga class. I might skip the vinyasa altogether and move from chair into Warrior 1, back to chair, into Warrior 1 on the other side, and that might be my flow, right? That's plenty. But this isn't y'all's first yoga class, is it? So we're gonna reach the arms forward. So anchor into the outer edge of that right foot. Reach the arms down and back on a big inhale, as if you're splashing water forward. Exhale, reach forward and back. Again, you might interlace the hands here. Roll the shoulders open, bring your forehead to rest on your knee for humble warrior. or just flow with your breath. We're meeting in warrior one. Take your time, breathe heavy in your feet. Relax the shoulders. On an inhale, lift the heart, look up. Exhale, fold forward, plant the hands. Now we're going to step back into downward facing dog. You can stay here. Pedal out the heels and breathe, or lift the heels, shift forward into your plank pose, lower down through chaturanga. So we're taking it through vinyasa. Inhale, full upward facing dog, or modify with cobra. And exhale, down dog. Breathing here, or rest in child's pose. All right, bend the knees, look forward, hop to the hands. Lengthen the spine on an in-breath. Exhale, fold in. Okay. Go ahead and hop back into down dog. I want to speak to you for a moment. In the sequence of Surya Namaskar B, especially when we start working into hopping, every single teacher training program that I've done at the 200-hour level gets caught up right here with where is the halfway lift and then the forward fold. And I'm going to tell you that it doesn't really matter. You can add some things into the sequence. It's still a sun sal, or put things in kind of different arrangements. So if you're hopping from downward facing dog, you're hopping forward into a halfway lift. And then you would exhale and fold in. So I'll demonstrate just so you can see that, maybe try it one more time as we're working towards our hopping practice. So on an inhale, at the top of my inhale, I'm gonna hop. I'm in a halfway lift. Top of the inhale, exhale, fold. Nice, I'll do that one more time. Stepping back into down dog, looking forward, inhaling. Hop. I'm in a halfway lift. Exhale, folding in. But let's say I'm walking. So I'm walking and walking and walking. I'm here in a forward fold. Then I inhale and halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. And we'll reverse swan dive up to standing. So I just wanted to thank you, because I just wanted to take a minute for that, because that's a hang up for every single teacher training program. And just relax about it, and it'll work itself out in the wash. All right, so that was a modification of Surya Namaskar B. You know how to modify if you need to. You can continue with what we just did, or come along with me and we'll do a full round of Surya Namaskar B. Then we'll bring it down to the ground. We've definitely cultivated enough heat, and we'll get into the hips and some nice seated poses before Shavasana. All right, so hands to heart. Recall the intention that you set for your practice. So always returning to Sankalpa and your intention. This is a spiritual practice as well as a physical practice. A moving meditation. I've been doing yoga for 20 years and still, I have to remind myself over and over and over again when I'm practicing that the strength doesn't come from me, that, it's borrowed. So the only thing we can do is wield it and enjoy it while we have it. It's not ours to hold on to forever. All right. Speaking of power, let's find chair. Utkatasana. Sitting into our hips, reach the arms up. And breathe. Try and enjoy it. It helps if you smile, like it's a little trickery. Sit a little lower. One more breath. Inhale all the way up. Exhale all the way down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands, hop back into plank, soft elbows. Lower down on the exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot forward between the hands, left heel down, Virabhadrasana 1. Inhale to rise, exhale, forward, plant the hands, right foot back. Now remember, you can modify and step back into down dog or move into plank. Shift the weight forward, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot forward, Virabhadrasana 1, right heel down. Inhale to rise. Exhale, fold forward. And step back into down dog or plank. Move through your optional vinyasa. Inhaling upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Good. Now your heels can start to make their way down towards the ground. Not on your first down dog. You know, we don't want to straighten the legs in our first forward fold. We're going to wait until the body is warm. And the sun salutation is a phenomenal way to build heat in the body. It's an easy sequence to learn. It's accessible to most bodies. Bend the knees, look forward, and hop to the hands. You're hopping into your halfway lift. Exhale, folding in, bending the knees, finding your chair pose. Inhale to standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Good. So that's our warm-up. It's pretty much the majority of an hour class. So we're going to start to make our way down to the ground, reaching up, inhale, exhale, forward fold, lengthening the spine on an in breath, and plant the hands. Let's step back into down dog, and we'll point the right toes back behind us and sweep the leg up, roll your hip open. Just bend and extend. Might lift and lower your left heel. And we're going to come into pigeon on the right. So when you close off your right hip, draw your right knee behind your right wrist. And you're flexing the right foot so the toes curl up. Tense your fingers and lift your heart. All right, now we're going to stay lifted in our pigeon pose today. So it is a back bend. I'm going to look over your right shoulder at the back of your toes and make sure they're pointing straight back. And then look over your left shoulder. You can widen your hands a little bit. Release your tailbone down, and if you draw the pit of your stomach in some towards your spine, then this will create some more space in the floating ribs in the kidney region. Okay, now I'd like for you to lift your hips up and then lower them down 3 times. So just lifting the pelvic floor, lifting the hips up, and then sinking down into the hips. Let the head go back. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lower down. So if you bring your left fingertips right out in front of your navel, and then bring your right hand to your heart. So again, lift the pelvic floor slightly. Lean back. Once your shoulders get over your hips, then the body is light and you no longer need your hands for support. So you can also bring a block out in front. Let's switch hands. So right hand comes right out in front of the navel, and a left hand to the left heart. And this might be enough for today. If you feel nice and steady and you're kind of lifting up out of your hips a little bit, you got lots of space for the kidneys, you can bring your hands back there. And then try bring your hands to prayer. You can even reach them up overhead. So a different approach to pigeon than you might be used to. We'll release down. And you can kind of roll up and down the spine a few times to alleviate any tension. You know, we just have a tendency to sprawl forward in pigeon, and that's great, but we want to stay active because we're really just using pigeon to prepare for cow face. So come on up and shift into your right buttock. You're going to swing your left leg around, take it over, left knee over the right. Now let's start with that left foot down on the ground, and then we'll take the right arm and we'll wrap it around that left leg. Left hand will come back behind you, and we're taking a twist. Lord of the Fishes. Now this might be enough. Or you can bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. You might find mudra, bringing index finger and thumb together. Spread out your middle ring and pinky finger. Now your back arm, that elbow is drawing in towards the spine. We'll inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, twist, turn your gaze over your back shoulder. Getting a nice twist in along the way. And then unravel. Now, I'd like for you to take your pinky toe side of your foot, your left foot, and bring it up into the crook of your right elbow. Now, we're going to take this left leg and rock it around a little bit like a little baby. Getting into your left hip. Before coming into cow face. Now, cow face can be really strenuous, so it's oftentimes helpful to sit on a block. So you might bring your left foot down, slide a block underneath your bottom, and then we want to work so that our knees are stacked one on top of the other. So I'll turn a bit so you can see here. All right, and this is plenty. So cow face. This pose literally used to make me feel like I was going to come out of my skin, but I'm really comfortable in it now. And every body is different. Like some people, by the way that their hips kind of can join, their feet might come out really far. So you can even try and heel toe your feet out a little bit, and you feel this deep, deep, deep in the hip. Maybe some little circles to find some comfort here. Now, if your thighs do not cross, if this is just not accessible for you, you might try just half and extend that right foot out. We're going to meet there anyway, so. All right. So you might interlace your fingers in between your toes. I like to do that here. Bring your forehead towards your knee, rounding the upper back. And you can lift and lower a few times. If you'd like to come into the bind, again, a strap or a hand towel might be useful here. So I'm going to demonstrate with the strap for those of you that might benefit from that. Hold on to the buckle in your right hand. Right arm up, bend the elbow. So you can always take that left hand on top of the right and then release, so palm out. Turn your thumb down so the back of your hand is facing forward. And then bring the back of your wrist to your lower back. Find the strap there and start to work your hands up toward one another. Now you're pulling on the strap, so your elbows are reaching in opposite directions. Over time, your fingers will touch. And then exhale, rounding forward. Now, I have a ponytail today, so if you have a ponytail that's long enough, you can also use that. And forehead to knee. We'll take 5 breaths together. Inhaling up, unravel your arms. Let's extend the right leg forward. We're going to bring the sole of the left foot into the inner right thigh for Janushirasana. Now, if you are up on a block, you might want to remove it. So, Janushirasana, forehead to knee, sole of the left foot and the inner right thigh. All right, now your shoulders are square to your front foot. So if your foot's out to the side, wheel it in so you have one straight line of energy coming out of that right hip. We'll reach the arms skyward, big inhale. And then exhale, reaching forward, forehead to knee. So a nice hamstring stretch all the way down the back of that right leg. Tense your fingers, bring them out to the side. Inhale, lifting the heart. And exhale, you might come forward again. Now this time you can catch the sides of your foot or your ankle. Inhale, halfway lift. Now for those of you that are really bendy, you might even cross your wrists. And as you draw yourself in, elbows out to the side. Inhaling up. Now you know how much I like boat. That's a wonderful seated pose, especially for building some heat since the heat that we've cultivated is dissipated a little bit. And we're about to do pigeon on the other side. So we want to rev that heat back up again. Help your left knee up. And then underneath your right knee, rock towards the back of your sitting bones. Hollow out the deep lower belly and lift the shins. Now you can stay at the 90-degree bend with the arms forward, or holding on. You keep the chest lifted, or extend the legs. 5 breaths. And then heat building up again. Shaking is good. And what we do on one side, we want to do on the other. So cross at the ankles, draw your heels in, shift the weight forward, and you can step back into down dog, or you can hop back into plank and move through a vinyasa, whatever your body needs. We're finding pigeon on the left. So drawing your left knee behind the left wrist. Look over the right shoulder, okay, so like my right foot is out to the side a little bit, so I want to bring that in. Yeah, straight lines of energy. Look over the left shoulder, ooh, nice stretch. Yeah, so you're just kind of exploring. Every body is going to be different, so, you know, take the time to look over opposite shoulders, to really set up the pose. You know, again, we have a tendency to just come into pigeon and sprawl out, so I'm trying to, address that programming. Widen your hands and tent your fingers. Or as Mallory called this, cupcake fingers. I like that. Imagine you've got cupcakes underneath your hands. And lift the hips and lower. So we have a little bit of a pumping action a bit. The pelvic floor pulls up gently. Even the word pull is a bit strong. So let's say lifts or elevates, yeah. Levitates, ha 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 ha. And then sink down into the hips. So again, we're trying to reduce our dependency on our hands being on the ground. Because over time, these poses will start to turn into binds, half binds, and then full binds with your hands overhead. You're touching your toes. So you can start by bringing the right fingertips forward, cupcake hands again, right in front of your navel, left hand to the heart. Yeah, and then just checking in with the floating ribs and the kidney space. So if you're crunchy back here, because this is a hip opener and a back bend, then, and if you're getting any pain signals at all, then pay attention, listen to your body, honor your body, draw the navel and the deep lower belly into the spine, and that's going to protect your lower back, also creating some space for the kidneys and the floating ribs. And we have to also, kind of be awake and alive to the changing landscape of our bodies. Any injury to the hara, the reproductive organs, their lower back, this is going to directly affect our ability to back bend. So be gentle. Again, you might bring one hand to the heart and then the other. Now, in order for this to work, you have to press your left ankle down into the ground, right, and knee. And you can reach the arms up. And exhale, release. So I got a little pain signal right there. Too far, backing out. All right, now we're going to take the weight and shift it onto that left hip. Right leg will come up and over. So first let's start with that right foot on the floor. Square off your hips, you can rock from side to side. And that left arm will wrap around that right leg. So we're taking this nice and gentle to start. Breathing into that right hip, get a little deeper, and we'll take it into a twist. So you can stay with holding the left arm to the right leg, or if you want to take it deeper into the twist, bring your elbow over across the knee. Hand faces out. You can find mudra. Right hand comes right back behind your tailbone. Tent the fingers, lifting the heart. Now you're in a deep, deep twist. So start some belly rolls. You actually really want to roll your belly in to the inside of your leg. Take the twist into the rib cage, the shoulders, and then finally the neck. So here's our twist for today's practice. Unravel slowly, leading from the belly first, then the chest, then the head. And then take your foot, gather your pinky toe edge into your left hand. So right foot, left hand. And bring the edge of your foot as high up into the crook of your elbow as you can. And just rock the foot from side to side, like you're holding a baby. Maybe some stirring action here. You lift and lower. She heard, hold a baby. Come on, kitten. She's like, did you say you wanted to hold a baby? Here I am, right on cue. Cameo kitten. You're a funny kitty. All right, so now we're going to come into cow phase. Right knee on top of left. So you can, again, bring in your block. And you want to stack your knees on top of each other. Bring your block underneath your bottom. Stack your knees. Kind of wiggle your feet out to the sides a little bit more. And this is enough right here. Especially if you're really oversaturated with sensation in cow face. So, breathing into your hips, you can interlace your fingers into your toes and round forward. incorporate a strap for a bind. Left arm up, bend at the elbow. Maybe right hand on top this time. And then you can stay here. Now, one of the things I want you to be mindful of is keeping this scapula, the wing of your scapula and the lat into socket. We'll have a tendency to let the scapula wing really far out. You'll increase the stretch if you keep this down and into socket. And then right thumb down, back of the wrist to the lower back. Work your fingertips together. Inhale. You might stay lifted, or you can round the thoracic spine, bringing forehead to knee. And inhaling up. So we'll unravel our legs, shake them out. We're going to come into Paschimottanasana. This is our final pose before coming into Shavasana. So shake out the legs, windshield wiper your feet from side to side. Move the flesh of your sitting bones back. Legs are long, kneecaps are lifting up the legs. Reach the arms high, big inhale. Oh, you know what I forgot was Janushirasana. So bring the sole of your right foot into your inner left thigh. There we go. And reach forward, reach forward, reach forward. Forehead to knee. All right, so now we're getting that length all the way down the left leg. Inhale, halfway lift. So if your fingertips are cupcake out to the side, halfway lift. Get a little longer through the spine, and then exhale, folding in. Forehead towards kitten. You're a great prop. One more time, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold in. All right, so now Paschimottanasana. You can keep the legs together, or if your body needs it, you can take them out to the side and folding in. So either a wide-legged seated forward fold or legs together for Paschimottanasana, whatever your body needs. And then any final poses you'd like to bring into your practice, anything that you need to settle into corpse pose, Shavasana. Take a few moments. And we'll meet on our backs. And you might bring in a bolster for underneath your knees. It's always helpful. No. Try and remove any distractions. Cameo kittens. Are you here to help me meditate? All right. So roll and tuck the shoulder blades under the back and get any of your wiggles out. And let's bring our hands to the deep lower belly, and we'll just concentrate on breathing down into our hip bones and the bowl of our pelvis for a few breaths. Now, especially with that seated pigeon that we did, you might feel a little bit of tension in the lower back. So if you do, breathe into any sensations. If you recognize any tension or kind of dull aches in the body, breathe into them or around them and imagine exhaling that tension out of the body. Let it go. Soften around it, breathe through it, exhale, release. Very good. And bringing one hand to solar plexus. Just make that breath a little bigger. So breathing into the bowl of the pelvis, and then the floating ribs, expanding the diaphragm. Feeling the ribs, the bones of your ribs and the intercostal muscles expand and spread apart. And remember to include your back body here as well. So maybe the breath in the front of the ribs isn't quite so big, but you can direct it into the kidneys and the floating ribs in the back body. And feeling where your thoracic spine makes contact with the mat. And exhale, release. Letting go all of your stress and tension. Now let's bring our bottom hand up into the heart, right on top of the sternum. Light touch. Breathing into the pelvis first, then solar plexus, finally up into the heart space. Full breath in. And maybe as you exhale, silently reciting or chanting, You might imagine the breath leaving out through the crown of the head with A-H, breathing into the pelvis, solar plexus, at the top heart space, exhaling out through the crown of the head, A-H. Allowing any distractions to remind you to come back to the breath. Recalling the intention that you set for your practice. Maybe bringing both of your hands to your heart. Enjoying each breath as it comes in and out of your body. And witnessing each thought as it flows through the screen of your consciousness. Taking your time, coming onto your side and up to a seated position, again at your own pace. You might sit on top of a bolster, like it or blah. Keeping the eyes closed, hands to heart, and resting in your conscious awareness of being. So there's nothing to do for the next minute or so, but breathe, connect, and enjoy. So thank you for practicing with me today on this special day. And I'd like to close with a round of Om. If you'd like to join in, please bring your hands to heart center. Take in a deep breath. Namaste. Say thanks, Cameo Kitten.